Next up, with no further ado, I believe we have, oops, my computer just shut down. We have a workshop that's going to be presented by our county clerk recorder, Danielle Sexton, and Carolyn Knott is with us. Welcome.
Good morning, board. Danielle Sexton.
We're very excited for your workshop.
I'm very excited to be here too. I really appreciate this opportunity to show you everything our department does and to tell you about some of the projects we're working on. So this is great. Okay. So our public services are provided in Yale County in person in Independence. We have a small team. We have 3 office technicians, my assistant Caroline and myself, and we provide all the services that you're about to learn about. All duties that we do are rotated amongst all staff, so everybody's cross-trained. With a small department, we want to ensure that services are provided regardless of people being out. Speak up, please. Before I show you our office, I want to show you some of our deferred maintenance projects. We received new carpet and paint this year in our elections office. Next year, we'll be receiving it in our clerk recorder's office. And I want to thank Public Works for providing this. Our entire office is open to the public, whether people are in for doing in-house research or they're participating in our election process or observing it. None of our office has security boundaries and borders. It's all open to the public. So having a clean and professional environment is really appreciated. So I'm just going to show you a couple of the photos, our storage room, and continue. This is the elections office. You can see the floor was pretty dilapidated, many years of wear and tear. There was a hole going down into the library. The tile was literally disintegrating. So the outcome of the paint and the carpet are just beautiful. And then there's one more picture of my office going into the elections office, the before and the after. So a big thank you to Public Works for providing these deferred maintenance projects. So I'm not a fan of reading PowerPoints. I think people read them and I talk about them, but I would like to read our mission statement of the clerk recorder is to provide in Yale County public and prompt professional services to provide and preserve and protect our historical cultural records and maintain security over our vital records and serve our county with all official document recordings and document filings. So the next slide. These are our core services provided by our clerk recorder offices, everything from recording documents to filing various documents. Vital records is a large part of what we do, getting to marry people, issuing birth certificates, marriage licenses, deputizing people who want to perform their own licenses. There's several items that we do very infrequently, and as we're cross-training, we're all making sure we participate when those few items come up, so we are all well prepared, even for our infrequent services. We do a group team of share the knowledge, so we all are smarter from our experiences, so we're all making sure that our whole office has the same experiences. I also want to talk about what's most important is the projects that we have going on in our department. I have them listed here, and I'm going to go through that list. The next slides, we're going to go into each one more in depth. Our first project, I think our largest project at this time is getting compliance with AB 1466. You know, in a nutshell, there's a new statute that says all recorded documents must be reviewed and redacted for specific languages dealing with age, sex, religion, cultural, and the like. So that's a very simple explanation of a very complex process, so we'll go over that. We are wanting to digitize all of our historic records. We have lots of historical books and microfiche that are not available digitally. So we're going to be encumbering that into the AB 1466 program as well. We are moving to e-recording. to start taking electronic recorded documents, and we are redoing our credit card platform.
My goodness.
Yes.
Well, that is that alone. So I'm preserving historical records, meaning they're on an antiquated system now.
They're either the hard book, the original books where
Yeah.
people come in and do the research in our books, or they're available by microfiche.
Yeah.
We can see them, but we can't print them. That system has been broken for over a year. And there have never been any financially reasonable solutions to that.
Okay.
But since AB 1466 requires all recorded documents, that includes the historic books, so getting those digitized would be appropriate to start having them scanned for text recognition to put through the process.
Can the museum help with
It's such a large, it's quite an undertaking.
Records preservation?
They would have to hire someone, I'm sure. Yeah.
That's amazing. And all within the context of AB 1466.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a friend who's an archival librarian.
Yeah.
It's even when you get it digitized, it doesn't solve the problem.
No.
Because the computers change.
Right.
You have to do the whole thing again, get it to another system.
Right.
Yep.
You're going faster. The things become obsolete faster than, we still have books around 1500s, but
yeah, in a former life, I worked on a digitation project, and 10 years later, the vendor that was selected that had the software to access those images didn't exist anymore. So there was no good way of transferring them to an updated software. So I mean, it's how you go about it is very specific and ongoing. Like you have to have that forethought.
right.
Mhm.
What would you do if it was all on a floppy disk?
Right. Yes.
I was thinking of I remember the museum had a nice grant and developed the transportation museum, virtual transportation museum, amazing photographs, packing olds. And it's an obsolete system and it's gone.
It's gone.
Yeah.
So for AB 1466, so all the records, whether they're the current digital documents or the historic documents that we want to convert to images, they're going to go through a process called OCR, which is optical character reader. And so there's going to be software that can large group scan the documents and identify documents that have any of the specified words. And then it'll put those documents into a workflow. And our staff will review those, validate that it meets the requirement. And then if it does, it goes to the cover page, it goes to county council. They have to approve that we correctly are redacting that language. And then that document with the redactions gets re-recorded as a new document. The original document does not get redacted. A new record is created. So it's
And you mentioned research. So are those the kind of things that the public comes in and does research, like historical documents?
All the time.
And marriage certificates?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. I got the honor of meeting an individual that came in for her birth certificate that was born in Manzanar. And she came in to have her. And then there's several records dating back to the late 1800s. A lot of, I would say in-house research is done several times a month, almost once a week. It's a very common question of who owns the water rights, but that's on the original deeds. And so you have to access those are only available on these hard copies, whether it's the hard copy microfilm or the physical original book.
When my mother-in-law was researching her book on the history of packing, I know she went in there and I thought, no one else has ever done that. I can't believe that. And everything, who had the deeds, pack stations, leases, properties, winter pastures. And now it's a book that everybody loves. And I thought,
yeah,
it was amazing to me, but I didn't think anybody else did that.
Yeah, no, it's very common. So it's great. It's great they're in such good condition that people can still access them.
Thank you.
So for this process, we're well on our way. We've completed, I've created a So it's called RCM, which is your restrictive covenant modification. But we created a written policy. It's posted on our website. I created a new website that has a policy. The forms we'll be using, all the additional information around it is available on our web. We've created a spreadsheet matrix to just identify all of the records that need to be preserved for the historic records. And how many we have physically digitized that need to be included in the process. And we've reviewed several demos and solutions from various agencies. So we're in the process of creating a very in-depth request for proposal to start receiving quotes. That will come out soon. We're just getting the final touches and reviews. And we'll be back to the board once we have vendors to select to move forward with contracts, and then initiate, monitor, and research the data. So the initial prices I'm getting in are well over $100,000. This is a very expensive ongoing project. And so the way we're going to roll it out is in affordable sections. It's going to be based on the revenue and funding available, and just do it in sections as we can afford it. But every bit helps, so it's the first step.
Yeah.
So our other process is ERDS, our electronic document recording system. It's pretty self-explanatory. We're going to be able to take all of our documents come into our office have to be the physical hard copies brought in, mailed in. So we're going to be able to take e-recorded documents that come in from title companies. That is the process that the Department of Justice have set up, where they have to go through a title company. So for this process, we've completed quite a bit. We're established the contracts with the recording vendors. It was included in our original contract. We had gone live with our vendor who does our main software system. It's called Tyler Technologies. We went live with them 3 days before I started. So in their original contract, the modular was included within that contract to be activated when we had time. And so now we have time. So we have a board resolution approved to create the program, and we've established the contract with the Department of Justice. And we've selected our state agencies. There's 2 DOJ approved agencies, and we are going with an agency known as CERTNA. So once we have an agreement ready from them, we'll be back for board approval. There was a securities document, the securities and infrastructure document that's currently with our IT department to finalize that. There's a lot of security, and that's one of the reasons why it goes from title company to CERTNA to us. I would really like to see a process where it doesn't have to go through a title company, where the public can give us e-recorded documents, but this is a system designed by the DOJ. Where was I? Establishing the contract. So we'll just have to establish our final contracts. We're very close to that. I expect to come back in front of you within a month to get those in place. And our estimated go live will be as late as May or June. It could be earlier if everything goes well.
Well done.
And our final process for the moment is e-commerce. We want to redo our credit card platform. It goes right hand in hand with the idea of digitizing our historic documents. All of our current digitized documents, which start in 1980 forward, are available in our office, but not online because we don't have an online credit card process to allow people to purchase them. So when people want those, they have to come in or email us. This will make it available for them to request them online, submit payment, and the system will automatically send them those documents. We currently only have 2 other functions that people can purchase online outside of our office with a credit card, and that's vital records through a state's vital record system called Vital Check, and then our fictitious business name licenses. And that platform is going away in the next couple months. The platform we were using was free, and they were purchased by another agency who is out of our price range. It was a very unreasonable amount for us to continue with them. So this will have a solution. For this process, we have already attained the quotes to transfer over to add the modules for e-commerce through their process. It'll be integrated with their system. We're selecting the credit card processing vendor known as Ames Core. We've met with the Treasury Office to validate that everything we're doing is in compliance with their requirements. We are currently in the process of, I have created another board approval item that's under review at the moment with County Council, and we have then once we have approval, we'll be executing our contracts with the various agencies and establishing the hardware at the counter, and then hopefully going live by April through May of this year as well.
That'll be a first. We've not, done credit cards. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll really open up a lot of more opportunities for online purchases.
Yeah.
So next fiscal year, because we're going to keep the ball rolling. The AB 1466 is an ongoing project, so we're just going to continue to develop that, and additional projects we have are to continue implementing online accessibilities. Once we have enhanced our credit cards, we're going to validate that our website and additional information is available, and services as much as possible, see what doors we can open up and broaden. We're working on our records retention and policies, and cleaning up a lot of the records we have and validating all the ones we have to keep long-term. That's going to include deciding if we need additional storage on where we're going to store documents that we're not having to access, but we have long-term retention requirements for. It's on our radar. I don't have any specific needs at this time, but these are projects that we're working on next year. And we want to perform an in-depth study of our fines and fee schedule, which hasn't been updated since 2017. I know the board items from that update had selected services and were done at a cost evaluation for actual salaries and actual time. Salaries change over the years, processes change over the years, and we just wanted to do an in-depth study that that our fees match actual service and time. So budget restraints for this is just the AB 1466 program. It's going to be expensive. We're going to look at all possible funding solutions. This year was a good example of some of the hurdles that we have to overcome. There was a revenue decrease in our mid-year budget, and this is one of the projects that took a hit to try to help with the revenue impacted by the real estate market crash. So it's just all depending on funding availability. So we want to make sure we're responsible as we move forward.
So the state passed that, but they didn't provide funding.
That is correct. They offered us the allowance to request to pass it on to the public, and we chose not to do that.
Gotcha.
But they did not provide any sort of funding or grants for it. Yeah, most counties did not increase their fees for the AB 1466. It just didn't feel ethical to make current people pay for recordings to correct prior people's recordings.
Right.
So,
yeah. Okay.
And moving on to our elections department. So our elections mission for our department is to ensure the highest possible degree of integrity for the Inyo County elections process through administration of all federal, state, and local election laws. We provide service to the public with confidence in providing transparent, fair, and impartial elections to keep our elections safe, secure, and accessible. Our core processes obviously is holding state, federal, and local elections, supporting the candidates and the campaigns, the information to allow people to run for election. working with the election workers and keeping up our student worker program, which is just great. And of course, results in audits, doing heavy audits and keeping the voters' trust in our system through it being secure and transparent. And the audit is a big part of that. In the off season, we are still very busy. Voter registration database management is constantly ongoing with new voters and making sure that our voter rolls are clean, and keeping up with FPP's, which is the Fair Political Practices Commission ethics forums, and keeping up on the news and keeping up with new law, which is a very ongoing task. There's a lot of new laws that are up for review, and it's just waiting and seeing and keeping in compliance. So we have a couple current initiatives that we're working on for this year. We're going to continue enhancing our website with increased communications and access. We're hoping to have a couple cool tools out there. We have not had time yet, but we are, some of our enhancements is we want to get an ongoing record count of our current voter registration totals. And I also want to create a library. We have a lot of documents and forms and such available on our website. And so I also want to add another page of just a library in case someone can't locate the specific page of documents on. It's all there. I want to enhance our statute page as well. We have a lot of elections laws on there, but there's a lot of other codes that include elections laws, such as the education code and civic code, that also pertains to election law. So we want to enhance that a little bit on our spare time, but these are our plans. So AB 37 in 2021 established that every active registered voter is to be mailed a ballot. This is our biggest hurdle right now, to keep that process secure and still allow and support in-person voting, which we greatly support. We, previous to AB 37, previous to COVID and the shutdown that we experienced in 2020 as well, anybody who was mailed a ballot was asked to have that ballot mailed to them. So they understood that if they wanted to vote in person, they needed to bring that ballot with them. Now that everybody is mailed a ballot and they still want to vote in person, it's very confusing to the voters and to the election workers what they're supposed to be doing with all of these ballots that are put in the mail. Oh. So we have a process where they have to bring it with them. So it's surrendered, or our office has to void them. They had over 400 phone calls, an estimate over the last election, to get those ballots voided. It was frustrating to the workers. It was frustrating to the people, the voters. And so we want to make that better. And so we're looking at a lot of options. And one of the options that's very interesting to us right now is the possibility of electronic poll books. So your paper rosters, when you go in and sign them, they have electronic rosters. When you go in and sign them, it's live with our system. It tells the system that voter voted. If they had a mailed ballot outstanding, it would be voided. And it takes the pressure off of the workers and the voters, and it makes it a lot more secure.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So we're the very first initiatives with that, where we have a meeting set up for a demo, and we have yet to receive quotes. And so we just want to know that we're doing everything we can to better that process.
Well done. Not easy. I know talking to election workers, that was a bit confusing, and yeah. Thank goodness our election workers aren't overloaded with thousands and thousands of voters. But yeah, no, I thank you for working to alleviate that difficulty.
Yeah, it shouldn't be difficult. People should feel welcome to vote in person.
Yeah.
People should not feel frustrated when they want to vote. So we're going to do everything we can to make that easy, but mostly secure.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's where it's at. And another initiative we want to do is increase community outreach. Whether this is more registration drives, Caroline and I are always talking about ways that we can reach out to the community, ways to improve communications. The picture up here is of Santa Cruz's mobile van.
Okay.
We talked about it during the last election. We're like, this is really, really awesome. And I don't know when we would get to go do it. But it's the idea of having remote services available in some of our smaller communities to allow for early voting. They would be considered by mail voting, but we could go out to some of these outreach communities and allow them to come to us and vote. We're very interested in this. We just don't know how the logistics would work. But it's some of the ideas that we're considering.
It's very patriotic looking.
It's a great, it's,
Oops, there.
yes.
Not pickup truck, will vote.
Items that we've completed this fiscal year is we've conducted our November 8th general election and our post-election audit. We had 0 discrepancies with that audit and audited over 3,000 ballots. That was a very successful election. I know I presented to you earlier after the election, but I will brag again. Inyo County was the 4th highest turnout of voter participation in California, and we were one of the top 5 counties to certify early. So we did a great job. The election workers did an amazing job, and it was very successful. Other initiatives, again, we have 700 FPPC filings. We have over 500, I want to say it may even hit 600 active filers in our county that we help and organize and track. And yeah, happily.
It's crazy.
It is.
15 of them or something.
Yeah.
So I have brought up, but I would say that there should be one.
There should be
700,
700.
And it's online.
Yeah.
Anybody can see it, and that's it.
There should be one.
It should not be as hard as taxes, for sure.
That we have to fill out.
And the other thing, I agree. And the other thing is some of our commission members have to fill them out. And
Well, that's where a lot of that comes from in the county.
Volunteers.
yeah, total volunteer.
Yep.
Yeah.
The
Nonsense.
cemetery district.
Exactly. And they'll
Taylor
resign
Water
from the commission
District
rather than.
helping and yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, so we went live with, we have to do a full initiation at the beginning of the year, send out the notices, set up the system, so allow those forms to flow, and that was completed. And the other item that was completed, as of today, our current system will come offline tonight. We will be down for approximately 1 week to 10 days, and we are going live on a brand new system. No later than March 10th, somewhere between March 7th and March 10th, we'll have a brand new platform. So if you are a 700 filer, you will receive communications from Caroline on how we can help you through that process.
Oh, good. So I'm not going to bother.
No, just
So-
wait.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you say that 600?
Yeah. It's
700?
almost 700. You said, or something.
Between 500 and 600 active filers.
It's like 3% of all
Yeah.
people in Inyo County have filed this.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're all. That
Yeah.
percentage of people are on board. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I don't.
So some of our objectives for next year is conducting our March 2024 presidential primary, initiating some the improvements for the polling places and possibly going to electronic poll books. And budget discussions for this. It's great to say that it's going to be a lot easier on this end. The reason we're switching 700 platforms was because of the cost. We did our regular purchasing policy due diligence. This was an item that was over $10,000, so we requested quotes and found a vendor that has the same level of service for much less, thousands less. So that's why we're switching. So we will have some additional funds there to use to some of our other advancements we want to do. And we also saved $8,000 in our last election. We had it budgeted for outside vendors to come in and program the software, and I was able to do it on my own. So I saved us money by programming our elections. So it was great. It was very inspiring on how simple and clear we are able to present that data.
What is the 700? The platform that we use.
The current platform
To do 700?
is called Disclosure Docs by a system company called Granicus.
Okay. Okay.
And we're moving to our new vendor is NetFile. They have a name for their software. It's NetFile.
We had a demo on it last Friday, and it's amazing. It's so much simpler.
Yeah.
And easier, from our standpoint, it's going to really welcome to buy the users. Listening and
Yes.
You're gonna help us?
Yes. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Darcy.
We'll bring cookies. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So that is it
There's-
for everything we got going on. And does anybody have any questions or comments or?
I'll just say, you guys don't rest at all. Yeah, that was impressive. And I appreciate, going into the clerk recorder side of your department, because that's really, we all tend to focus on elections, but that's a huge, very important part of county government. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Any other comments or questions from board members? Thoughts?
I just want to say you guys have been very helpful and I appreciate you and your staff. Retention and storage. You still have to keep all the documents forever.
So every single item, whether it's FBN forms, various filings, so all recorded documents is permanent retention. So each item has a different statute that requires different retention. So we're currently developing a list of statutes and what the required length times are. But yeah, there are lots of documents we have permanent retention. A lot of election stuff is permanent retention. But it varies. Even elections, it's item by item that varies.
Just because, like you said, computers, software and stuff changes. I'd hate to lose data and not have that backup that you could go back to. So
And some statutes require hard copy, permanent retention.
thank you.
Yeah.
I would just say thank you. You guys are brilliant. And it's, for me personally, it gives me a feeling of security, knowing that you're so devoted in your integrity for your jobs across the board in your office is amazing. And as Scott said, you're very helpful to the candidates, which is really appreciated. Things don't get lost. The one question I would have, when you move to the online purchasing with credit cards, do you expect that to lessen your foot traffic in your office to maybe ease some of the time that your staff spends on interacting with the public?
It's going to be interesting to evaluate because it hasn't been before, especially when we go to e-recording and we're not having to have people aren't going to have to require to come in if they go through a title company. I'm not sure though. It's going to be interesting because I think it's going to be transitioning the SDN database that people are already using. I think people trying to do in-house research, especially once we get the older documents digitized, I think it'll cut out some of the in-house research, which will be good to not have those books handled as much as they are. But it's kind of an unknown area.
Okay.
Yeah. There's still a lot of stuff, even with FBNs, we still need an original signed form so they can pay online, but they have to mail us the form. But it all starts developing because you start talking about, I start having these conversations about, okay, but why is it that way? And what about digital documents and how do we do a secure platform? So as these are the first initiatives, I'm sure we will continue to better that process. We hope to still see a lot of people. It is one of our highlights that we do get to be in-person public servants, but we're not accessible to everyone. And so we just really want to broaden that as much as possible.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Are we a year away from primary?
Yes, we are. Our office is 6 months away from primary. Our process will start in September. I believe it's late September that candidates will have to start filing.
Yeah, it's relentless, and I mean that early March primary. Well, I don't like it, but
Yeah, the how it goes to March.
that's a year away right now.
It is. And so you'll see primaries bounce between June and March. And so that's what it is there's a statute that requires presidential primaries to be held in March. And non-presidential primaries or gubernatorial primaries to be held in June. It is interesting having it in March, going through the process already for the non-presidential, having the election in June, and then again, November, it does take 6 months to build an election. And we had several months of overlapping of doing both elections at the same time. So for us, it's good to have one after the other, but other than that, we're indifferent, just we'll do what statutes entitles.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, that March primary, if you, well, if I get primary to lose in March, I have 8 months of being in office afterwards.
Yeah.
Or something like that. It is just a, seems like a crazy situation that is created by that being at the primary.
Yeah. But I mean, that's how that would flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just so I have been impressed since you took over, just how smooth everything's gone. We're thrown right into the fire. Staff is doing a really great job and stuff.
They are.
Everything. And I have something, this is the rabbi who wants to do weddings that I told you about. I was supposed to give that to you last week.
Sweet.
Thank you.
So weddings are the best part.
They really are. I'm just so in awe that I get to be honored with doing that. All staff now in our office, all of us perform wedding ceremonies, and they are loving that opportunity. So yeah.
And our beautiful historic courthouse.
It's great. Yeah. A lot of, and we want to start advertising that. We have found that a lot of people, it's not just, wanting to get married quickly. A lot of people select our courthouse as their actual wedding venue. And so that's one of the enhancements that Caroline's going to be making to our website, and start really advertising how beautiful it is here and the services that we provide.
One of the ones I did, they had planned it.
Yeah.
They wanted to get married on the courthouse steps.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they were from out of town. It was a choice.
Yeah.
Any comments, any other board member comments? Do we have any public comment? Any public comment online? Oh, okay. Very good. Thank you so much. Can't tell you how much we appreciate what you do. And one of our goals with this was not only to educate us and make us aware of what's coming and what we need to be aware of when things come forward, but also so the public can hear just how much they are served by county government. So thank you guys.
Absolutely. No, we do put ourselves as public servants first. It's something we talk about within our team, and we're making decisions of changes in our office. We are always asking, how does this impact the public and what can we do better? And the team really takes it very positively. And they're great.
Well, you could be a model for many others, I'm sure. Many other clerk recorders throughout the nation. Yes, Bob's got a question. Yeah, come on up.
I just wanted to comment because I go into the recorder's office quite often, and they are exceptional. I mean, I have talked to, in fact, I had the president of New California speak to Danielle, and he was very impressed with her. So that's saying a lot.
Well, there you go. But that would be a good reason why the rest of California could model after Inyo County.
Bob's a good example too. He had lots of questions, and I made him come in and audit our previous election and run it over. And anybody at the public, whoever wants to know anything about our elections, should come in and see it. It's pretty phenomenal, and always know it's your election. I do it for you, and you should know all about it. And we are we love showing it off. We're total geeks. I'm like, I love bragging about our process and our system. So I'm always happy to give people tours and change people's minds and win them over. So yeah,
Thanks, Danielle. Thank you, Carolyn.
thank you guys.
Okay, appreciate having you guys here. Thanks so much.